recorded in Roman literature during the age of Virgil. They believed that bees could be born from a lifeless body.
In early natural philosophy, before modern science existed, a belief so strange it has survived across centuries of human thought.
Recorded in Roman literature during the age of Virgil. They believed that bees could be born from a lifeless body. In early natural philosophy, before modern science existed, a belief so strange it has survived across centuries of human thought.
In the language of classical thought and ritual imagination, this belief had a name, and it carried a deeper meaning. In ancient Latin terminology, preserved through classical texts, it was called Bugonia.
Across early Mediterranean belief systems about life and decay. To understand it, we must return to a world before certainty existed. In a time before microscopes, before biology had clear answers. A world where observation was the only way to understand nature.
Within the daily life of ancient farmers and herders, they watched the land closely, and they trusted what they saw.
In the open fields of the ancient world, under natural conditions. And what they saw was something they could not easily explain.
In fields across the ancient Mediterranean countryside, when an animal died, its body was left to the slow work of time, observed by farmers in early agricultural societies. Days later, something strange would begin to happen.
Within ancient observations of natural decay, movement appeared where there had only been silence.
In the early human attempt to understand nature's cycles, tiny lives gathered around what once had been still.
In the worldview of ancient natural philosophy, to them, it looked as if life had risen from death itself. In early theories of spontaneous generation across the ancient world, from these moments, a powerful idea began to take shape.
In ancient explanations of life and matter before modern science, they believed that life could emerge from lifeless matter.
Within classical interpretations of nature's hidden processes, decay was not only an ending, but a doorway to new beginnings. In the evolving thought of ancient Mediterranean scholars, this belief slowly spread through stories, texts, and observation.
In the agricultural imagination of early Roman culture, and among these ideas, Bugonia became the most unsettling of all.
In the symbolic worldview of ancient Mediterranean cultures, because this belief was not about insects alone.
It was about bees, creatures that represented order itself.
In classical observations of the beehive and its perfect structure, a hive was seen as a living system of harmony and discipline.
In the daily life of ancient beekeepers and farmers, thousands of small lives moving together with silent precision.
In the cultural meaning of bees within the ancient world, to lose a hive was to lose more than honey.
It meant the loss of balance, structure, and quiet continuity. A silent hive was not just empty, it felt deeply wrong. Something unseen had shifted beneath the surface of the world. And so they began to ask why such collapse could happen.
This question leads us to the story of Aristaeus.
In Roman mythology, within the narrative of Virgil's Georgics, Aristaeus was known as a keeper of bees and guardian of the land.
In the pastoral world described by classical Roman poetry, his life was ordered until one day that balance suddenly came to an end.
In the tragic turning point of Aristaeus' story, his bees began to die, one hive after another. The sound of life faded, replaced by an unnatural silence. In the mythic landscape of ancient Greek and Roman tradition, Aristaeus could not understand what had gone wrong.
He looked beyond the land, seeking answers beyond the physical world.
His path led him to his mother, the nymph Cyrene.
There, he was told that this loss was not without cause. What had happened was not random, but the result of a deeper imbalance. That loss had disturbed something far deeper than anyone realized.
The world had shifted quietly, and the consequences followed.
The death of the bees was part of that consequence.
In the mythic instruction given to Aristaeus by the nymph Cyrene, to restore what was lost, a ritual had to be performed.
In the ancient practice of sacrificial rites across Mediterranean cultures, this was not a simple prayer, but a deliberate act of offering.
Life had to answer for life that had already been taken.
Animals were brought forward as part of the sacred process. In the solemn atmosphere of ancient sacrificial ceremonies, what followed would unfold slowly through time and decay. In the ritual sequence described within Virgil's Georgics, the sacrifice was completed and silence returned to the land.
In the stillness following ancient sacrificial rites, the bodies were left untouched, surrendered to time itself.
In the natural process of decay observed in the ancient world, days passed, and nothing seemed to change at first.
The stillness deepened as life appeared completely absent.
In the moment before transformation becomes visible, and then something began to move beneath the surface.
From within decay, a subtle movement slowly became visible.
What once seemed lifeless now held the beginning of motion. Small forms gathered, rising from what had already perished.
Wings unfolded where there had been only silence before.
And from the body, a swarm of bees appeared once again.
To them, this was not illusion, but a visible return of life.
Which was their state. It confirmed what they thought they had already, as I already understood.
That life could rise again from what had already died. The bees had returned, and balance seemed restored. But what returned was not the same as what was lost.
From the perspective of modern scientific understanding, today we know that bees do not come from lifeless flesh.
In the development of modern biology and entomology, science has revealed the hidden life cycles of insects.
In the explanation of insects that resemble bees in appearance, some flies mimic bees and emerge from decaying matter.
What they saw was real, but not what they believed.
Their conclusion was mistaken, yet their observation was true.
But Bugonia was never only about the biology of bees. It was a way to understand loss and the return of order.
Not everything that is lost can return in the same form.
Sometimes, something new must rise from what has ended.
From decay and silence, a new swarm rises into the light.